The wedding hall shimmered with lights and flowers, a scent of expensive perfume floating through the air. Yet to her, it felt suffocating, almost cruel in its beauty. She stood near a pillar, silent, watching guests marvel at the decorations, their laughter sounding hollow and borrowed. Her son, the man she had raised, never once met her eyes. That silence cut deeper than any insult could. When he finally shouted for her to leave, his voice was sharp, rehearsed, cruel. Gasps filled the air. Some guests looked away. Others stared with pity. She didn't respond. Words would only betray the decades of discipline, restraint, and love she had poured into him. She walked out slowly, each step heavy with memory. Outside, the night air hit her face, cold and unforgiving. She remembered teaching him to walk, holding his small hand so he wouldn't fall. She realized then that she had been holding him all his life, even when he didn't want it. Back at her empty home, the walls seemed to press in on her. Her hands trembled as she poured a glass of water, memories rushing in uninvited. The night his father died, the years she worked double shifts, the birthdays spent buying gifts for him and none for herself. Everything she had given was to shape him into a man of character. But somewhere along the way, entitlement had taken root instead of gratitude. As dawn crept in, she accepted a painful truth. Sometimes, loving too much teaches the wrong lesson. The next morning, her phone rang. It was him. His voice was cold and practical. He wanted the property papers. Not a single word about the wedding, not a single word about her. For the first time, a strange calm settled over her. She ran her fingers over the envelope that held the proof of decades of sacrifice, closed it, and felt a piece of her own life being reclaimed. When he arrived at her door, frustration radiated from him. He blamed the stress, his new wife, the chaos of it all. She listened, her face unreadable. Then she spoke of humiliation, of standing alone before a room full of strangers. She didn't yell or accuse. She just told the truth. Her calm unsettled him more than anger ever could. She reminded him that respect mattered more than any inheritance. He laughed bitterly and stormed out, leaving her to finally cry not out of regret, but from the quiet ache of doing what was right. Weeks turned into a month. She stopped checking her phone for his calls. She started walking in the mornings, met old friends for coffee, and read books she'd long neglected. She began filling her days with herself. Slowly, the heavy weight on her chest began to lift. She heard whispers from relatives that his marriage was already unraveling arguments over money, fights for control. She stayed silent, letting life teach him the cost of choices made without respect. One evening, he returned unexpectedly. He looked tired, older, with visible cracks in his confidence. He spoke of sleepless nights, of endless fights, of a profound emptiness. She listened without interrupting. When he asked again about the property, she gave the same steady answer. Love without respect is just control disguised as care. He left quietly that night, carrying the full weight of that realization with him. A new kind of silence settled between them, heavy but peaceful. She started reorganizing her house, letting go of old memories that no longer served her. She repainted the room he had once slept in, choosing colors that she loved for herself. Every brushstroke was an act of reclaiming a space she had given away too easily. Guilt sometimes tried to creep in, whispering that a good mother must always forgive, must always give. But she reminded herself, giving without limits had led her to this very moment. Far away, her son was feeling the true cost of his choices. His marriage, once a trophy of power, was crumbling. The woman he had chosen mirrored the very traits he had used against his own mother: control over care, dominance over respect. Every argument they had echoed the lessons he had refused to learn. One night, alone in his expensive apartment, he thought of the wedding, of her silent, dignified exit. That memory haunted him more than any fight ever could. Eventually, he came back again. This time he was hesitant, unsure, like a child afraid to admit a mistake. She opened the door, let him in, and just listened. Not as a rescuer, but as an equal. For the very first time, he asked instead of demanded. He asked about her strength, her endurance, her life without him. She answered honestly, without making it sound easy. She told him about the fear, the exhaustion, the moments she had almost surrendered. He began to understand that real strength isn't dominance, it's endurance. The topic of the property came up again. This time his voice was cautious, almost ashamed. She explained that the property was never a reward, and it was never a punishment. It was a responsibility, a trust that had to be earned through character. He nodded, finally grasping that power without values is completely hollow. Months later, news came that his marriage had officially collapsed. He didn't rush to her for comfort or for money. He came to talk, to reflect. He admitted that the man he had become was someone he no longer recognized, that he had mistaken control for strength. He apologized, without fear, without bargaining for anything in return. She accepted his apology slowly, knowing that forgiveness couldn't erase the past, and that trust would take time to rebuild. There was no dramatic reunion, no tearful embrace in the rain. There were just two adults, learning to rebuild what pride had broken. She didn't win by denying him property. She won by teaching him the true meaning of dignity. And he didn't lose his inheritance. He lost his entitlement and gained something far greater in its place, understanding. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing.